Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Juju, and welcome back to the 1% Juju podcast, where we teach you the practical steps to live your life like the 1%. As you can see, I am back, finally back better than ever. So appreciate you. I missed the 1% family, but I am back. I am never leaving again. I promise I will give you guys an explanation to why I've been in hiatus for so long and why I've been gone. I didn't want to be gone. All I wanted to do this whole time was just record my podcast in peace. But there's actually some really good teaching pieces that I've learned over the course of this time, over the course of whatever I've been through. And I promise you guys will get an in-depth look of what it was. And there's a lot of good teachable moments. But we are back, and I'm going to dive right into things because I want to get back to helping you guys make some money, reach your goals. I've seen a lot of people reach their goals. Some of you guys have been really patient with me. So I appreciate that. I definitely appreciate the family. I've missed out. So now we're back. We're here, and here's what is going on. We're going to go into a 5-episode series where we're going to dive into the basics of investing. Like, we're talking about 101, like from the jump. What do you do? Where do you start? And here are a few things that we are going to cover over the course of this time. Number one, we're going to talk about an investing philosophy. Like, what do you need to think about when you think about this whole investing thing? That's where we're going to tie in. And like, let's say you have $1,000 today and you want to start investing. Like, what should you even start thinking about? Now, today, I'm going to give you the disclaimer from the jump, but don't leave. Today, you might not know at the end of this what to do with your $1,000 if you're sitting on it, or whether it's like $100 a month or whatever it is. You just want to get started. You might not know all the answers, but I wanted to break them down into little chunks, into 5 episodes, in order to make sure that you get as quality content, but it's not overwhelming to you at the same time. Because I really want you guys to walk away from this not necessarily investing expert, but at least equipped with the right tools in order to go out there and ask the right questions and make some of the right decisions for yourself. So you're going to learn how to build a good investment philosophy. You're going to learn, what the different platforms you can use, the pros and the cons of each and every one of them. Because the reality is there's so many out there, and they're not necessarily bad. They're not necessarily good. They just have their differences, and different ones are right for different people. You're going to learn about if you should buy stocks, if you should buy mutual funds, if you should buy ETFs. What are the differences? What are the pros? What are the cons? Which one is right for which kind of person? We're going to talk about how to pick stocks and mutual funds by yourself. Like, what should you be looking at? And we're going to try to break this down to make sure that you guys understand, no matter where you are in your investment journey, whether you're a seasoned investor that has been doing it for a couple of years, or that have been doing it for a while, or if you're absolutely new and you're just sitting on this money and you're like, I should be investing, but I have no idea what to do. And then I will talk about my 3 safest industries that I would invest in, as well as a little Q&A. I'll ask you guys to bring in some questions and make sure that I answer every question that you guys have in mind. Now, I'm not going to be sitting here speaking the whole time, and I know you guys get tired of hearing my voice, so I'm going to make sure that I bring in guests, some experts, some industry experts. I have a fire lineup of people that I'm going to bring in, so make sure you guys are tuned in. As you can see, I am now on video as well, so y'all get to see my pretty face now. But make sure you are subscribed on YouTube. I'll be making sure to bring in some cool graphics and do some cool stuff there in order to make sure that you guys get the most value. But I'll make sure that with the audio, you guys get as much information and as much content. But I will also bring in some different things here on the video side. So make sure that you flip over to YouTube if you are at a computer, or if you have time, if you're in a space where you can look at video, if you're able to do that. But let's dive right into things. And obviously today's episode, you're seeing that it is about your first $1,000. What do? You want to start investing. You've heard that it's a good thing, it's a smart thing to do. What do you even do? Where do you start? We're going to talk about basics of the basics. And the reason I want to talk about the basics of the basics, because I know a lot of people that it can get daunting, right? Like, you can think about investing and you have this paralysis because you just think that it's way too big of a thing. You think that it's, like what should I do? I hear some people talking stocks. I hear some people talking mutual funds. I hear some people, talking about a whole bunch of different things. And I don't even know what those terms mean. People are talking about like different rates of returns and blah, 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 blah. Well, I'm here to try to break it down as much as possible and try to make it a little simpler for you. So, number one, understand that there's not really any such thing as an investment expert out there, right? Like even the most seasoned of investors, and I have this article and I'll try to put the link in the description that talks about Warren Buffett, which if you've been living out under a rock, Warren Buffett is kind of the expert or the person where when you think about investing, he's a billionaire, right? He's made a ton of money in the stock market, one of the smartest person out there. And if you look at his portfolio over the last 25 years, and you just look at the U.S. stock portfolio, I guess, over the past 25 years, he actually performed just a slight under what the U.S. stock portfolio has done. Now, there's no other individual that has done better than Warren Buffett, or maybe there are a couple individuals that have done better than Warren Buffett, but he's been able to be so successful because he's been able to take his emotions out of it and been really smart as far as how he invests into the stock market, right? So he's been able to take advantage and of certain things over the course of time that a lot of people they panic, they sell. So when you think about investing, the most important thing is you have to understand, right, that like you can no longer be super emotional about how you do certain things. Now, I've been seeing a lot of people, diving headfirst into whatever the trend is, whether it's crypto, whether it's NFTs, whether it's a certain stock, whatever it is. I see a lot of people diving right in when they see those things happening, or they see a lot of people talking about it on social media. Now, it's not a bad thing necessarily to want to make money where other people have made money, but that's not the best investment strategy, right? Like that's why people like Warren Buffett are able to make a lot of money, is because when the market is down and people are panic selling and things like that, he's buying, he's putting money into the market because he's looking at it as like, oh, wow, these stocks are on sale now. Or when people are like, things are going up and people are just continuing to buy, he's saying like, okay, well, I think that there's a cap to how big this can get. Now I'm going to take my money out. Now we're going to talk in depth about how to pick the stocks and things of that nature. But here I'm talking about more of the philosophy and the mindset that you need to go into investing with. Okay, so you need to understand that it's more of a long game, that you're talking about a long-term time horizon. So if you look at the stock market, it's always going to do these waves. It's going to go up, it's going to go down over the course of time. But if you isolate at any 10, 20, or 30-year period, you're going to see that over that 10, 20, or 30-year period, the stock market is going to go up, because although it might go down for a couple of years, it will rebound, and then it will continue, having those ups and downs until finally you get to the finish line where you actually retire, where you take your money out and do what you need to do, live your best life with the money, right? Or whether it's in the short term, whether it's in the long term, whatever. So that's why it's so important to remember that phrase that is so popular, which is time in the market is always going to be timing the market. So timing the market will refer to, having to go out every single, day and try to see like, okay, well, this stock is down today, I'm trying to buy this, or whatever it is this stock is up today, I'm going to sell it, or trying to make those strategic moves every single day. And that's what probably is daunting a lot of you guys, because that gets extremely stressful, right? Time in the market would be putting money into a stock or a portfolio or a mutual fund, whatever it is, and just saying, you know what, ride this thing out. I don't need it for a certain amount of time. And at that time, I expect this money to be up, or I expect to have a certain amount of revenue from it, and things of that nature. So that's really the philosophy that you should have when you go into investing and when you think about investing. Now, there's two common mistakes that I see a lot of people make. Those two mistakes are when a stock, you purchase a stock, and when it goes down, you panic sell, right? Like you're like, oh no, like I don't want it to lose more money, so I'm going to sell it. Or when a stock goes up, you panic buy more. You're like, oh my gosh, I found the next big thing, right? And you're like, I'm going to purchase more of this stock. Now, those strategies aren't necessarily bad. I'm not saying to never do that. And once again, a lot of this, I'm just trying to help you adopt the right mindset. I'm not necessarily looking to tell you you need to do this or you need to do that, but I'm trying to tell you guys how to think about this whole investing journey. But a lot of people, when they're so emotional about it, like I said, it's not necessarily a bad thing, because maybe when you do sell a stock that is going down, maybe it was just on the trending downwards and was continuing to go down. Or maybe when you do buy a stock and it's on the way up, maybe it is continuing to go up. So it doesn't mean that it's necessarily a bad decision to do those things, but being extremely emotional can over time lose you a lot of money and can be really dangerous. So that's why it's really important to just understand, okay, here is my strategy. I'm going to buy, I'm going to hold, or I'm going to let go of the stock at this point. If I get to this amount, I'm going to sell. Whatever your strategy is, and you may want to consult a professional in order to put that together. But I'm just saying that something goes up, buying is not always the best strategy. So just understand that. But we'll talk about specifically, like I said, how to pick a specific stock, like how to look at a stock, a portfolio. And even myself, I've done it for a long time, and I don't necessarily consider myself an expert. There's a couple factors that I look at, but I make a ton of mistakes. I've lost money in the stock market. I've made a lot of money in the stock market. It's ebbs and flows, and it happens, and it happens to absolutely everyone. The goal is to, make the ups more than the downs. But we'll have other people that have a little bit more experience and that have done a really, really great job at analyzing some of this stuff on the platform. And I think that you guys are going to get a lot of value out of that. But for today, we want to speak about your $1,000, right? You have $1,000 right now. What should you do with it? What are the steps? What are you thinking about? Well, number one, I want you to ask yourself two questions. Question number one, what would you do if you lost that whole $1,000? I'm saying, if the answer is, well, I'd be in a pretty bad financial spot. I'd be financially burdened. I wouldn't have money to pay my bills, my rent, my mortgage, whatever. Then it might not be the best of idea to invest. It might not be the best of time for you to invest at that time, or maybe not that $1,000. The second question I would ask yourself is, what would you do if you had an emergency in, let's say, a year from now? Let's say you lost your job or you broke your leg and you needed money. Would you need that $1,000? Would you need to take it out of the stock market in order to do those things? Well, if the answer is yes, then maybe same thing. Maybe it is not the smartest of things to do at that time to invest that money. And the reason why is because you never want to sell at a loss. You never want to be down and selling out of the stock market or taking money out of the stock market. You always want to do that when the market is up, but we cannot control when the market is up, right? So it is really important that before you go into this investing journey, that you have the mindset of, I could lose this money or I could lose part of this money, and the timing that I have in mind might not be the best timing to remove the money, or the timing that happens if an emergency were to happen might not be the best time to remove the money. Now, we don't ever go into investing thinking we're going to lose money, right? Like, to invest, like the definition of investing, like literally the Wikipedia reliable source, just kidding here, but the Wikipedia definition of investing is, to invest is to allocate money with the expectation of a positive benefit / return in the future. So, right, like our expectation when we go into investing is to make money, but we always want to go in thinking, praying, obviously, prepare for the worst and praying for the best. Shout out to Lil Wayne, one of the best rappers out there. But that's kind of what we want to do when we go into the investing journey, is thinking about what is the worst thing that could happen to me right now. So, yeah, so that is what you want to think about. But you can also invest in a million different things. I know I've been talking about stock market, and that's going to be the focus of this series, this 5 episode series. But there's a million things that you can invest in, right? You guys know I love real estate. You can invest in crypto. You can invest in NFTs. You can invest in your business. You can invest in whatever it is. You can invest in your career. There's a million things that you can invest in out there. This is not the end or be all. The reason I want to focus on the stock market is because we have a lot of history on it. Like historically, it's been a very reliable, it's been a very commonly used. I wouldn't even say popular nowadays because there's so many different things to invest in that are becoming more and more popular. But I would say that it's very reliable. It's something that we have a lot of data, a lot of history on, and it's something that's great that a lot of people have counted on for a very long amount of time. So I think that it would be a little unfair to just sweep it to the side and not talk about it at all. So we're going to focus on investing in the stock market specifically in the series. But obviously, you guys know 1% of Juju podcast, we give you all types of perspective. So we will definitely talk about different areas as well. But once you've ensured that you do have an emergency fund and you know that like there is a possibility of you actually losing, whether it's part or all of the money, now your next step is to actually set up a goal, is to understand what is your goal out of this money. What is your goal when it comes to investing? Now, I know some of you guys, I know for a fact that some of you guys don't really have a goal, and that's okay. Maybe you don't have like a clear goal. You're just like, everyone keeps talking about investing. Everyone keeps talking about making more money. I just want to, join that crew. I just want to be a part of that team that makes more. I don't want to be left out, right? So that's fine. That's fine as well. But you do need to set up a goal. You need to think about what your goal is before you jump into investing. I think it is important. Now, it's not the most important thing, but in order to make sure that you use the right vehicles and things like that, like you might still end up in the right position if you don't set up a goal and you just start investing and you just put your money in something decently safe that gives you a good rate of return over time. But you still do want to do a little bit of homework and do a little bit of thinking, whether you're a seasoned investor or whether you're like the most junior of investors. Think about simple things, right? Like, what do you want to do with the money? What do you want the money to do for you? Do you want to just be it out of sight, out of mind? I park it somewhere. I come back in 10 years. I hope it has accrued in amount. Do you want to set up another stream of income? What do you want to do? Just have a little bit of a think about that, and you can come up with your goal yourself, and then you can go into setting up the right vehicle. Then you want to write down those goals. You want to write down, when do you want to access the money that you want to make? How much do you want to make? For how long do you want to make this amount? How much money do you have today? How much money can you contribute on a monthly, weekly, annual basis? Whatever it might be. Anything, any goals you have, anything that comes to mind. And here's the time not to be realistic. And the reason I tell you that is because then you can come up with a plan and see how short of your plan you are. Okay, I want to make $1 million in 10 years. How are you going to do that? Here's what you need to save. Okay, well, which one, how do you adjust? Do you want to give yourself more time? Do you want to save more? Or do you want to take a little bit more risk? What do you do, right? So that's what allows you to do that, is to set up the right vehicles and come up with the right plan for you and your plan when you do those things. So that's why it's important to set up that goal. So at this point, what that does for you is that it gives you a clear plan, goal, and starting point, right? You have your end goal and your starting point. And even if you decide, we're going to give you the steps here to potentially be able to do a lot of this by yourself. But even if you decide you want to work with a professional, at least you now know what the right questions to ask that professional, right? Like what about, hey, my goal is this, and that. How can you get me to that goal? And I have $1,000 to start. What do I need to do next? So now you can ask the right questions in order to, okay, perfect. I need to be in this vehicle for this amount of time, and here's what I need to do next. And that's going to allow you to easier get to your actual goal. But listen, I know that like I didn't cover everything today, but I want to make sure like I stop here in order to give you a chance to digest just the philosophy and what we need to think about when we go into this investing journey. And we're gonna go back and come back with some more bangers, just bangers on top of bangers, and we're all gonna get rich together, guys. But this is where we're going to start. So this is what you do when you want to start your investing journey. And in the future, obviously, in the next few weeks, you guys are going to see in the next few episodes what the next steps are, and we're going to cover all those things that we mentioned at the beginning. But if you did get some value out of this, please do make sure that you share this. As you like we talked about earlier, we are now on YouTube, so make sure you give a big thumbs up, a big subscribe, share it with your friend, family, dog, everybody that has a computer or a smartphone. Share it with them. That is really the only way that this platform grows. And you guys have done an amazing job in the past, so I really do appreciate you guys. But I will stop here for today. But this being said, do make sure to also subscribe on all the other podcasting platforms. We're on every single platform that you listen to your podcast to. But for today, make sure that you're taking the steps today to ensure that you're 1% closer to your goal than you were yesterday. Thank you very much. Have a great day, and I'm so glad to be back, y'all. Have a good one.